Welcome to SUAANGAN. I'm your host, Janine Blake. On today's program, we have a profile of Glenna Hansen for SUAANGAN's Our People, Our Support series. Aklavik, Northwest Territories was the regional center because of the fur trading industry. Aklavik had the hospital, the Aklavik Federal Day School, a residential school, and many other organizations to service the Mackenzie Delta region. The federal government decided that they would build a northern town with all the amenities of a southern town, but they needed a new location because Aklavik was prone to flooding. The new location that was chosen was called East 3 and was 70 miles away by river and approximately 40 miles by air. East 3 was later called Inuvik, and it became the new regional center. Some of the residents moved to Inuvik, but the die-hard Aklavik people stayed, insisting that Aklavik was not sinking into the ground. Their motto became Never Say Die. Aklavik's still there, and all services are still available above water level. Glenna Hansen is the Commissioner of the Northwest Territories. She grew up in Aklavik and tells us of her family and her life growing up in Aklavik.
Can you give us your date of birth, place of birth, your parents, siblings? Tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay, I was born in Aklavik. My parents are David and Jean Storr, and I was born August 10th, 1956.
Can you tell us a little bit about your grandparents, both on your dad's and your mom's side?
Well, from what I understand, both my grandfathers were immigrants. One came over from England, and the other came over from somewhere in Russia. And they both came over and married Inuit women. One lived in the east and one lived in the west.
Can you tell us about your home life, your own family, you and your children?
Well, as you know, I'm a widow, and I find it kind of stressful at times, because I'm it. I mean, I have to call the shots. I have to make the decisions. I have to make sure that my children are cared for. I have to make sure that things are taken care of at home when I travel, and that's always a big concern for me. Because whether or not they're 13 years old or 21-year-old, you still have to be a mother, and that takes up a lot of time, and it's very difficult. And now I'm very sympathetic to when I see a parent that's alone. I know what they're going through, and my heart aches for them sometimes because I know it's not easy. But all in all, my girls are very good. They're very, very supportive of what I do. They're pretty responsible, and to me that's important.
When you've had a really busy day, when you've been traveling for a long time and then you come in and then you have a really busy day at the office, how do you unwind when you get home? How do you just leave your work here, and how do you just be at home? Be Glenna.
It's so nice to go home. Like when I'm out traveling and I get home, I'm just excited to see my kids. And this is awful, but the one that I'm really excited to see is my youngest one, Tiffany. I don't know, there's just something about her that I find very comforting, and I like that. And of course my pot of coffee.
That's neat. The travel schedule that you have must be pretty demanding. How does that affect your daughters? How does that affect your home life?
Sometimes it can get pretty stressful, because sometimes I'm pulled between, like say for instance, if it's around their birthdays, or if it's around special occasions like things for them happening at school, then I find it a little difficult, But when I very first took the job, I said to myself that I will try to be a Christian first, a mother second, and a commissioner third.
So for your daughters, it must put a lot more responsibility on them when you're traveling, but it's actually good because like Vaughn is very independent. Mm-hmm. Is that how your daughters deal with your traveling? Do they share the workload? And
yes, my girls are very good at, in terms of them accepting their responsibility. I think that, to be really honest with you, they really don't have a choice, you know, because when I say I have to go because of my job, they're very understanding. And so for them, they can adjust to that. And I guess the biggest thing for them is they accept their responsibility. And yeah, things get a little hectic, you know, because they don't always want to be looking after their younger sisters or worrying about them, but they still do it, you know, because at the end of the day, the reward is great. You know, then I come back and they're happy to see me and we appreciate each other more.
Can you tell us about life growing up in Aklavik when you were a child?
Sure. You know, like we're typical Delta people. We, in the winter time, we stayed in the community, and my father was a general contractor and did small contracts. I always remember that, and growing up around heavy equipment. In the spring, we went out on the land, and also in the summer, we went down to the whaling camps. I shouldn't say so much we, but a lot of the times I stayed behind in town, and my family went out on the land.
What is the ultimate goal for yourself, whether it be professional or personal? What is your ultimate goal? Where is it that you'd like to be?
Oh, my ultimate goal. I guess my ultimate goal would to see, for me personally, is that my 4 children finish their education and go and do something with themselves. And for me, I'm going to leave that opportunity open, and at the end of my term, then I'll really think about what I'm going to do, you know, and consider the options and opportunities that I have then. But right now, all I want to focus on is just making it from day to day.
SUAANGAN will return after these messages for more of our profile on Glenna Hansen.
Can you give us a brief history of your work experience or resume for Glenna Hansen?
Well, I've done various things. I've sat on various boards and agencies, both at the community and at the regional level.
She was on the board for a couple of years, and just prior to being appointed commissioner, and she had to resign because of that. And she brought a real good community perspective to the board. We have a number of outside directors on the board that are very experienced in the financial world, and they're very good at that. But her perspective was more from a community, more in support of the beneficiary's point of view, sort of thing.
The various boards and agencies that I sat on, like I sat on education boards. I also sat on the Inuvialuit Community Corporation and the Inuvialuit Regional Corp. I sat as a director. I also co-chaired the Ministers' Forum on Health and Social Services, and I also was the chairperson for the Aklavik Business Development Corp.
What is it about you that made you give so much of your time to community service?
Well, I just wanted to get involved. There was a lot of things that were going on, a lot of changes taking place in the communities, and I wanted to make sure, being a very opinionated person, I wanted to make sure that I just had a very strong, I guess, personal conviction that, you know, if I want, and I had, because I had such strong beliefs, I guess, and saw a direction which I felt the community should go in, and I always thought that if I wanted to make changes and see changes, positive changes happening for the betterment of the people, that I thought, well, the only way to do that is to initiate change, and one way of being recognized and doing that effectively is getting involved on various boards and agencies.
She's a lot of fun to have on the board. I think from her background in previous boards, she knew how a board operated. She knew what the responsibilities of the directors were. But like I said before, I think her strong points was that she sort of represented the beneficiaries on that board.
For those people across Canada who don't understand what the Inuvialuit Investment Corporation is, could you maybe explain?
Yeah, the Inuvialuit Investment Corporation is a subsidiary of the Inuvialuit Regional Corporation, and its purpose is to take the funds from the land claim and invest it in very low risk and try to get the best returns for the amount of risk we invest in.
Can you tell us about your role as a commissioner and what the duties and responsibilities are for your position?
In my role as the commissioner, and some of my responsibilities are invitations are received on a daily basis. So these must be reviewed and decisions must be made as to whether or not I'll attend them as the role of the commissioner. And of course, then that leads into making arrangements for attending certain functions.
It's nice to be home, and it's nice to see everybody, and everybody looks very sharp, and I'm very proud of you. It's nice to see that you've been involved with the Rangers, some of you, for a long time, and that's a good thing. And may God bless you and keep you safe and grant you traveling mercies and give you the courage and the wisdom to do the job and the responsibility that you've taken on. I also want to tell you that I wish your families the best, and take care, and we'll see you again. And thank you very much for coming out.
Did you have mentors, whether it's friends or family, that encouraged you?
Yes, I did. The greatest and for me the best role model was my father. And the second person that I would contribute a lot of my, what I saw in this person, what the other one would be Ethel, Blonde, and Andrew. Yeah.
What are some of the things that they taught you?
Well, for one thing, when I very first started getting involved on boards and agencies, my father, who was very active in Aklavik for many years, as a matter of fact, as long as I remember, he always sat on the Hamlet Council, and I always took a great interest in that. And I remember when I very first got involved on the education boards, he said to me, "Glenna, you got to make sure that you keep everything above board, and whatever happens at the table, you leave it there, and when you leave the meeting, you come out friends." And that to me was important.
Do you carry that into your work life?
Oh,
absolutely. No matter what happens in the office, are you able to leave it here?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to me about the commissioner's office?
Well, you know what I think? I think that if for the young people and for anybody else, is to never compromise your personal convictions. And, stay in school for as long as you can. And there's not only education in terms of academics, but also experience. And any experience that you can do, and at whatever level you start, you should take great pride in what you do. Because through all of that, it gives you all of that grooms you for whatever job you're going to take further on down the road. And we don't know what's going to happen 5 or 10 years from now, and I never thought that I would ever be the commissioner. But when I take a look back at my life and what I've gone through, both personally and professionally, it was all grooming for this position. So we should never ever say, well, why did this happen to me, or why did I have to go through all of that? Because like my father used to say, if you've never made any mistakes, you've never done anything. And we make mistakes, and and we should admit it and deal with it and then move on. And I think that's another important thing too.
What advice would you give to youth about working in a high-profile position or a leadership role?
I think for anybody, because when you really take a look at the community, we as parents, that's the highest calling anyone can ever have. And I think that, if you're going to step out and be a leader, and that's why I said, it's difficult at times, but you have to stay focused on what you want to achieve, and you have to find a way to get there. And I think that's the most important thing, is whatever you take up, whatever commitment you make sure you fulfill it.
Your best time here, what has been the best time that you've had in this office?
I've had a lot of good times in the office. The best time that I've had. I guess one of the things that I think about when I think about the good times for this office, one of them would be when the Governor General came to visit. That for me was the highlight, because she is such a beautiful lady. Yeah.
Was there anything you'd like to add to any of the?
Not really. I just would like to say to the people at home that I often think of them, and I look forward to going back someday when I'm done this position. And I wish everybody well. And I thank you for taking the time, and I'm so honored that you would even think of me to do a profile on me. Like, I'm truly honored, and I thank you for that.
Glenna enjoys going to the carnivals when she can. Here are some singers from her home community of Aklavik at the Madd Trapper Rendezvous talent show.
Along the Yukon coast, it has a history
was our program for this week. Thank you for watching SUAANGAN. I'm your host, Janine Blake, and I'll see you next week.